I asked you yesterday, would you set back the clock? Because I don't like what happened to you, the way you feel about yourself. Oh, you might not say it, you might put on a good act, but deep down inside, there's a doubt grinding at you. Oh, I know it works. It'll work for me someday. But it hasn't worked for me yet. In some strange way, it affects your subconscious. It affects your confidence. It affects your pride, because you don't know what to tell people. True or false? Folks, it's not fair to all of us. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me. Now, it's different if you put every day in, every week, 8 to 12 hours, do the basic 5, and are a UFMO. I accept that number. And if you're doing that, you better come see me, because there's something wrong. Maybe your brain ain't programmed. But those are the type of people I want to find and work with. We already been over this. If you're not a UFMO, you are not open, because you don't have even the minimum stuff to open the business. So you might have signed up, but that's not doing the business. So don't say you did it for 2 years or 3 years when you signed up 3 years ago, but only did it a month. Calculate. I ask you to do this, and when you don't do what I ask you to do, I can't work with you. So if you want me to work with you, fill out the questionnaire. Do this. Talk to me. I answer thousands of emails. I want to reconnect, build groups. But you have to set the clock back. So for every week that you were in UFMO and open, did you do any of the basic 5? What is that? Listen to a tape, go to a seminar, read a book, build your brain, build your mind, program your mind. 2, did you have a goal statement and read it? Well, then your brain wasn't going to accept anything. What do you got to do each week, each month? Yeah, each week, each month, each day, each week, each month, and each year to reach the goal so that your brain accepts it. And then build the ladder, and then everybody else does it, and you climb the ladder together. And 1 prospect, 2 calls a week. That was the contract. 2 calls. A lot of you don't need to know any of that stuff that I taught the other day, because you ain't going through your list of 100 people to see if they know anybody to evaluate it. 2 a week, 2 a week. Well, that week counts. Otherwise, you didn't show up for work. Right? Why won't you do this? You win by reducing it as much as possible. You understand that? It's not a clock. It's a stopwatch. Everybody got? Stopwatch. What's really on the clock? Because now we're going to start and make the time count. But it's difficult when it's been 5 years and you're not even an executive coordinator. You're executive coordinator. But there's nothing wrong with that if we're real with ourselves and understand it. Do you agree with that? Please, for your own sake, write me with what you set the clock back. I don't care if I get 23,000 emails. I'll read them, and it hits my heart. Okay. Most of you are starting at under a year. And for you guys that really did build it and have been in for a long time, remember, you took a retirement or a hiatus or a vacation, and that was the deal. That was the deal. You built the residual income and took it. So now, I'm wrapping it up. I got to tell you something. I don't think there's been another meeting like this in the world or the United States where somebody has come from so far out in outer space. Believe me, everything that already is, people take for granted and accept it. When I introduced the MPCP, it defied gravity in marketing. Nobody could figure out how it was done. They didn't think it could be done. And it has changed things, right? It was always designed to do one more thing. They didn't believe it then, and now I want to add the one thing. You guys don't believe it now. I'm asking you to give me a chance and to do it with me, because we're bringing it down. So just like we did in the beginning, Pam, every month we made it work better and better and better and better. And it happened. The shopping annuity is going to land from outer space now. I'm leaving the stage. I'll see you when we land.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. Booster ignition.
Right, after shift is Lima, India, November, Okay, copy that. That's a Bravo, Juliet, hold short of Zulu, number 787.
You know, history records the constant process of changing the world. And in the last century, what the world thought of as impossible has repeatedly become reality in a way of life. And more times than not, it's been taken for granted. In my lifetime, I've seen the world change dramatically. In the past 5 years, there's been more world-changing advances created than there were in the last 1,000 years before that. You know, think about the last century. Edison and the electric light bulb lighting the world and then giving rise to electric power generation everywhere. To an affordable automobile in every household, giving rise to roads and gas stations. The telegraph, to telephones, to cell phones, to smartphones in every hand. Computers more powerful than mainframes in every house. Global connection in real time over the internet and web. And all the knowledge in the world at our fingertips with Google. And everyone being connected through social media and more powerful than traditional TV and news. And with online shopping disrupting and replacing brick and mortar. At the time of conception and birth, they all seem like science fiction and from outer space. You know, my motto has always been dream and think big, as you'll never be bigger than your thoughts and dreams. And I've always been a dreamer and a visionary with forward-looking thinking that is often before its time and way out there. I see what is possible when others see it as impossible. And my thinking in life mission really reflects the words of George Bernard Shaw. There are those that look at things the way they are and ask why. And I dream of things that never were and ask why not. Now, whether it be reinventing direct sales with binary marketing and the MPCP, or the steps along the way in its evolution, such as requirements, BV and IBV, the GMTSS, people thought I was crazy. I was viewed as way out there. You know, most UFOs and the world think that I am crazy. Or maybe I'm from outer space. At least that's what they think at first. And it's not until it's done and realized as a way of life do they accept it as great. The response I get is, oh, here he goes again. He's lost his mind and has gone out into orbit. Come on, down to earth, JR. You know, it's really the way one thinks that is truly space age or from outer space. You see, we're what some would call a disruptor. Now, a disruptor is a company or a person that changes the traditional way an industry operates, especially in a very effective and better way. Certainly, That was the case when we created the binary system and the MPCP, creating a new paradigm never possible before. Its power and the benefits of the revolutionary tracking system have yet to be fully recognized or utilized. And now the shopping annuity is a culmination of that, and the concept allows us and average people to create our own economy. You know, when I was growing up, there was a cliche often used that you have about as much chance of doing that as putting a man on the moon. You know, the world has always been fascinated with space, and it stretched the imagination. As unreasonable as it was, the cliche reflected it that that's from outer space. Yet it was done giving way to a whole new world. You know, NASA scientists, in the process of going to the moon, pioneered more than 6,300 technologies during their bid to understand space that are now routinely used in day-to-day life. A few of which include integrated circuitry and the computer microchip and high-resolution digital satellite TV, the CAT scanner, and the joystick. It's more interesting that the real benefits of these accomplishments were not realized by the generation which it occurred, but by the next generation and those to come. Now, I recognize that the same may be true for the shopping annuity, as the next generation will reap the benefits as it becomes a way of life, and they leverage the possibilities of being able to create their own economy and sub-economies. You know, in 1984, I was enamored by envisioning and testing computerized marketing before the internet, and with the thought in mind that there was a better way. And people laughed at me. They thought I was crazy. The notion that people hate to be sold but love to buy was undeniable, and a technology allowing for that would be a paradigm-shifting and world-changing event. If it were not plausible, it would be passed off as frivolous fantasy. But the concept of digital aggregation screamed that it was logical and possible, like going to the moon. To me, it was simple. If you knew what everybody wanted to buy, you could identify the commonalities and find or make the product, add value to it at a better price, eliminate inventory, advertising, logistics, and provide it to each individual that wanted it, while treating each individual differently, where they could buy whatever they wanted differently as well. 3 decades have passed, and the technologies and systems are in my hands to make that a reality today. The genesis of Market America is a simple thought that we became possessed by, and that which transforms into possible world-changing concepts. There were many reasons motivating the goal of going to outer space and to the moon for America and President Kennedy that are unimportant in hindsight, but it was not solely to go to the moon for the sake of it. On May 25th, 1961, President John F. Kennedy came from outer space and, at the risk of unparalleled global embarrassment, proclaimed in his speech before a joint session of Congress that in this decade, we will put a man on the moon. Simply preposterous and crazy. But it was not without reason and logic. He consulted with and hired the greatest scientist of the time, Wernher von Braun, who he asked if it was possible to put a man on the moon and what it would take to do it. His answer was yes, it was possible. And 5 words as to what it took: the will to do it.
Roger, we'll stop Discovery. Welcome back. A great ending to the new beginning.
Our thinking and model are indeed revolutionary and out there in outer space. But it's an idea whose time has come, and we are bringing from outer space to Earth to change the world. The next generation will make it a way of life, and again will probably be taken for granted. The residual income from spending and shopping for average people will be a way of life and our legacy as we create our own economies and change the world. We are bringing it from outer space to Earth right now. The shopping annuity has landed.
Down a half. 6 forward. 60 seconds. Lights on. Forward. Forward. Remain down 2.5. Bring up for 7. Bring that. Forward. To the right. 30 seconds. Forward. Okay, engine stop. Eagle has landed. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me.
We did it.
Believe me.
We landed. The shopping annuity is landed. And the next generation push the button. It's real. It's real. We love you. I hope you believe. Do you believe? Now the corporate team come up. You know, it still comes down to that first year in the business. Our best product's belief, and here we are. This could be a magic moment. I hope that you'll do it with me. It's real. Well, you did it. You did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Market America executive team and our future generation of executive team.
Look.
I'm going to be introducing Aiden one day. Look at that smile.